Welcome to another Coffee with Samso, where we speak with ASX companies and we listen to their stories of what they're touting out there. Today we're at the UWA Club here in Crawley on the campus of University of Western Australia. And we've got St George Mining Limited here with us today. The ASX code is SGQ. I've got the Executive Chair here, John Prineas, with us. Market cap currently is around 56 million.
That's right.
St George is a sort of two-pronged story. We've got a lithium project, a developing lithium project with them, as well as the nickel project, which in itself speaks quite loudly. So, John, welcome to Coffee with Samso.
Good morning.
Look, John, you're an industry player, I should say. All sort of wisdom in that area, and St George Mining's been around for a while, so maybe just give us an intro to yourself and the company and we'll start the story.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, St George listed about 10 years ago. We've been exploring for nickel and gold in the northeastern goldfields, but the real excitement at the moment is our lithium story. Our geologists probably spent a lot of time tripping over pegmatites when they were exploring for nickel out there. We've really had a good look at the pegmatite and lithium potential, and it's created a lot of wins for us so far. So it's taken our profile up quite a few notches.
So your project is on strike with the red dirt metal project, the Ida lithium project. Can you just give us sort of your view of how you guys moved in, of discovered that you have similar geology there?
Yeah, exactly. So our project is Mount Alexander. It's next door to Red Dirt's Mount Ida project. In September 2021, Red Dirt announced a lithium discovery and quite boldly declared Mount Ida a new lithium province. So that piqued our interest. We hit the ground having a look whether we had pegmatites and the kind of pegmatites that could host lithium bearing minerals. Started field sampling, started rock chip sampling. Those results started to come through just a couple of months ago, and we do have lithium bearing minerals in these pegmatites. The source of the pegmatites is the Copperfield granite. It's a very big granite, about 40 kilometre strike. Red Dirt has about 10 or 15 kilometres to the south of that, and we've got about 15 plus kilometres to north of that. So we're both in that sort of Goldilocks corridor, parallel to the Copperfield granite. Very similar mineral system, if not the same mineral system. So we're hoping our efforts might replicate what Red Dirt has achieved in just a short space of 12 months. They've got a maiden resource and fast-tracking development. So we're trying to go as well as hard as we can and improve up that lithium potential.
Going through your announcements and reading what you guys have found from your mapping and rock chip sampling, I mean, the grades are atypical. That means you've got lithium in there, you know that, but they are still rock chips, as most people would appreciate. But the interesting one for me is that the width of this, the pegmatites, they're decent, right? They're not little small ones, they're decent ones. How encouraging is that when obviously you're in the province? There's no doubt about it. The guys down south of you have and drilled and have those results. I mean, how encouraging is that for you guys to know that at least you got the width, which is quite important in this game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hugely encouraging. Surface outcrop is probably 20 metres thickness. Pegmatites behave not uniformly underneath surface, but they tend to continue for hundreds of metres below surface. So if you're seeing 20 metres of outcrop, there's almost certainly going to be quite a significant pegmatite below surface. And if you're seeing high-grade lithium in that outcrop through the rock chips, very good chance you're going to have some high-grade mineralization at depth as well. Typically you see lepidolite at surface, particularly in our area where there's a highly weathered terrain, so the spodumene can get washed out, but lepidolite stays. Indicator elements like rubidium stay, so we're seeing very strong rubidium levels. That also encourages that we're going to have decent spodumene widths at depth. That is exactly what Red Dirt has seen. So that's our exploration analogue, and we've just started the drilling program, and hopefully we can prove that.
Okay. The drilling program is as we speak at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. We started 10 days or so ago. RC drilling, and just this week the diamond rig arrived as well. So 2 rigs out there. We'll do as much as drilling as we can prior to Christmas, a pause for Christmas, and get going again in January.
I think every man and his dog's trying to do as much drilling as before Christmas, I think.
Yeah, well, we love to prove up the potential of these rock chip samples that we're seeing at surface, prove some more meat on the bones, and then get going again in the new year.
I mean, we had this discussion off camera before, because when I've been obviously been talking to a few companies that are in this lithium space now, and I think the understanding or the lead up to the discovery of lithium geology or exploration geology, it's really only 2 years old. Really, we haven't had the nickels and the golds and the lead and zincs. The understanding of where they are and where they could be, I think, is still new. I mean, could you share with us your thoughts? Because obviously you're in it, right? And you guys were looking for nickel there, and then suddenly, hey, there's lithium there. A bit like Mount Holland was the same kind of story. I think Mount Ida with red dirt was the same story. And I can see some of the guys like Kairos and all that up in the Pilbara, they have similar stories too, right? So what was your experience and your thoughts on that kind of commentary?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone is learning very fast about lithium-hosted pegmatites. There's a zonation pattern to pegmatites and the way that the lithium-bearing minerals appear. You see lepidolite in the outer zone, and then it transitions to spodumene. So that can happen variable in different pegmatite fields. So we're just trying to understand exactly how ours works. The drilling will tell us that. We're stepping out and drilling underneath each intersection of the pegmatite and trying to work out where the best lithium mineral is going to be.
Have you guys looked far and wide in all your tenements? Because you've got a big, fair, decent-sized tenement holding there. So have you guys looked far and wide? Are they, or you've just obviously focused on where the low-hanging fruits are for you guys?
Yeah, no, we do have over 15 kilometre strike length of this pegmatite corridor, the Goldilocks corridor. So far we've confirmed 1.7 kilometre strike of fertile pegmatites through the rock chip samples, and that's where we're focusing the drilling at the moment. But we've still got 13 plus kilometres of strike to investigate. I mean, it's not all going to be mineralised, but there certainly are more pegmatites there that we want to go and sample. We recently picked up 2 more tenements contiguous to our existing tenure, so that's given us an additional strike adjacent to the Copperfield granite, so that's also very prospective. So yeah, we just got to get more boots on the ground and find out what's there.
I mean, having Mount Ida so close, and obviously that's an up-and-coming producer, miner, is it advantageous for you guys to be next to these guys? Because then, you know, the whole economies of scale comes into play. You're not that guy, oh, he's out in the isolated place. Do you think that could help you guys, or help each other, I guess, in that sense?
Yeah, absolutely it will. So Red Dirt are the ones that called it a new lithium province, and we totally agree with them. It's a very underexplored area. So in addition to Red Dirt and ourselves, there is Hawthorne Resources, which is now exploring in joint venture with Legacy and Hancock Prospecting. So Gina's emerged. And EV Metals is joint venturing with Zenith as well. They've got a bit of a tenement next to the Copperfield granite. So there's new players coming into the area. At some stage, I'm sure there will be discussions on how we can all work together and create synergies and efficiencies. We're pretty close together. If we all find something, do we all need to construct a processing plant? Probably not. So there's plenty of discussions to be had still.
Lithium to me is interesting because being a geologist, I don't think I've come across where you got a new discovery of a metal from that early stage where you're still, it's as if like we've just found lithium, right? Whereas when I came into work, gold, nickel, lead, zinc, this all well established kind of stuff. Whereas now you're seeing that early stage of they've found a use for this metal. Hey, this is called lithium, and we can do this. And by the way, the price is really good. We could find it, and then next thing is, hey, there's not a lot, but some of us have a lot of this. From your experience, I mean, do you see that happening in lithium?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those pegmatites have been around for millions of years. They just didn't appear in the past couple of years. So the mineralization's been there. There just hasn't been a market for it. So the industry always focuses on where they can make money. The EV revolution, the battery clean energy revolution has really spiked up the interest for the lithium. The early players have picked up the low-hanging fruit. There's still some easy wins out there, and I think our tenement is pretty easy. There is pegmatite outcrop, so there's easy sort of areas to go to find the mineralization. But we also do see areas where there's sand cover, and we think the pegmatites continue underneath that sand cover. So we'll be deploying other techniques to try and find possibly deep penetrating radar and soil surveys to try and find where those other pegmatites might be hiding under the cover. But yeah, the market is telling us they want lithium, and we'll be responding.
In regards to the market itself, I mean, you've been around, you've seen, things go up and down, and there's the mad rush for demand, and there was the nickel boom, then there was gold, and then there's iron ore. Um, how's your experience with the lithium? I mean, fielding calls from people, and suddenly, are you surprised, or you going, hey, this is hotter or madder than I had thought of? Sitting from outside looking in, now you're actually inside, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Our lithium story is really only just a couple of months old, really. We announced our first assay results for the rock chips just a few weeks ago. So it started very recently, but very, very quickly we're having knocks on the door from very big industry players wanting to secure offtake, long-term secure supply. So that is telling us that there really is a scramble behind the scenes from these big consumers, the battery makers, the anode makers, wanting to secure supply. So it's a good place to be in for an explorer and mining company. It's good to have that real supply and demand dynamic in your favour.
I think it helps also once you've got that. I don't think people have actually really seen the demand or the mad rush, because if you've got those things, I think funding for you guys would be not such a hard work. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, no, that's one of the really pleasing things as well. Those guys, whether it's a battery manufacturer or a car manufacturer, you've seen the guys at Liontown sign up deals with Tesla and Ford Motor Company. They're throwing $300 million of debt finance to them so they can develop their project and supply that lithium offtake to them. So it's wonderful when you've got the end users being so proactive.
Your nickel projects, I mean, let's not forget that, because you do have some very prospective stuff there as well. You've just been overshadowed by a much sexier product. Yeah, do you want to share some thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, our nickel exploration is still very, very exciting. Earlier this year, we brought Julian Hanna on board. He's an industry legend, of course. Took Western Areas from a little IPO to $1 billion plus company, and number one independent nickel producer in Western Australia. So he's come on board. He loves the nickel potential of our Mount Alexander project. We have discovered very high-grade nickel copper PGEs across a 5.5 kilometre strike of the Cathedrals belt. We've drilled as much as we can there, and they haven't quite bulked up into big deposits. We think there's still a 100,000 ton baby lurking out there, and Julian's deployed some new geophysical techniques, a seismic survey, some new EM surveys in areas where we hadn't really gone to. For example, the granite greenstone contact. That's where Forestania discoveries were made by Western Areas. The seismic is telling us that there is this big reflector underneath the granites there. We don't know exactly what it is, but we'll be drilling it in a few weeks. It could be a nickel deposit, it could just be some greenstone, but it's a very exciting target, and we haven't certainly given up on the nickel.
I mean, people forget, right, that a portfolio like that is fairly good balance. You got I call them the base metals. I call them the things that you need to build stuff. Then you got the sexy lithiums. It's quite a good spread of metals in terms, if you ever want a share portfolio, and also in the same place, right? It's a bit like red dirt, where it's actually a gold mine, but they've got a lithium product. Once you start having those pairings, it's quite good, right? Because there's not many portfolios in the world where you have this kind of balance, where you got lithium that's really, really hot, and the nickels and the coppers and things like that, that's still as hot. It's just sort of in the background because of the level of noise. How do you plan to go forward in terms of, obviously you're going to share your funding between the two, chase the lithium or chase the nickel. Is that a problem for the board, or is that sort of steady as she goes?
Yeah, well, I suppose where we spend the money is going to be driven by the drill results. We're drilling right now. We'll be drilling both lithium and nickel. I think we're very optimistic of finding more lithium-bearing pegmatites below surface. We think the lithium opportunity has very low exploration risk. That's just the nature of outcrop and chasing the outcrop. And we've got red dirt next door, which has proven that. So there's low exploration risk, and we definitely want to throw as much effort as we can into proving that opportunity up. The nickel, well, there's nothing that gets the heart racing more than a nickel sulfide discovery. So if we get lucky and find something, that will certainly deserve a lot of attention as well. It's not easy to make nickel sulfide discoveries. The last high-grade discovery was probably the Sirius Nova Bollinger, and it's been really hard to find something since then. IGO is probably the benchmark in terms of the mix of right metals for the future, nickel and lithium. Maybe we're a baby IGO in the making.
I mean, that's why people invest in companies like yourself, right? In terms of your thoughts on the market, I mean, we touched on it briefly, and we know there's a mad rush, and battery makers are trying to get you to sign off takes or talk off takes when you've only just started your drilling process. How do you narrate this business? Where's the equilibrium between, where do you think the industry will be? Because you can't have too high a price, and where do you think that good mix will be, or how do you think it's going to get there?
Yeah, there's certainly demand, insatiable demand at the moment. All predictions have it, continuing to rise quite aggressively. We probably don't appreciate it as much in Australia because we haven't seen EV cars dominate the marketplace, but it's certainly a totally different story in Europe and in China. So there's definitely continuing demand. There will be a supply response. The lithium price at the moment is excellent. It's the incentive price to attract more investment. So there will be more coming onto market. The balance will be what the market determines in due course. Lithium, I think, is here to stay for the very, very long term as an attractive mineral to be in.
I like the fact that companies like yours have at this stage where I can see the width, and more than likely you're going to get some width as you drill. As we know, the truth machine is the what's out there. But with that in mind, and the fact that there's a lot of talk about how WA has the most amount of lithium potential and things like that, and we got the processing plants in Kwinana. Do you see this industry building to where we could be the dominant player, with government coming in and value adding the vertical integration of your product? Because that kind of stuff is really good for companies like yourself, where you could get yourself some decent resource. You're in a province where you don't have to build your own plant, and let's face it, someday you may get a knock on the door says, "How much, John?" So that all can add to somehow how investors can exit from a company like St. George, right? How do you see that? Are you hearing it? Are you seeing potentially that happening, or is this just talk?
Yeah, no, it's all really a fast developing industry at the moment. I think down the track there certainly will be consolidation. The location we're in really sort of points to that possible happening. As I mentioned before, we're a new lithium province. We've got at least 4 companies there quite active in trying to explore and develop projects. There could be synergies. One might emerge as the consolidator. That's still a long way to go. But certainly the fact that we're in a fertile lithium province is very positive for the potential of what could be there. Investors in companies like us or expect multiple returns on their investment, and that's what this lithium opportunity can do for us. So we'll just see how it all plays out. there certainly is continuing interest from the end users, the battery manufacturers, the car manufacturers, to invest now in exploration. They don't want to be caught out. They don't want to be just there buying spot. They want to invest early on and secure that supply. So it's a very attractive place at the moment.
Yeah, I like mineral provinces because I remember 2015 or 12 or 14, somewhere in that space, someone came up to me with some tenements. He goes, oh, and some guys called Liontown, the drilling and just slightly north of us, and I think we've got some lithium. Well, yeah, now we know the story. So it's all, and that's where I learned that, you know, if you're in a province, that's the place you want to be. It's great to be a pioneer, but it's fantastic to be where you know the mineralization's already there. So in terms of going forward, what's the news flow for St. George?
We've got the drill rigs out there, so there's plenty of drilling going on, so there'll be the assays coming through a little bit quicker than they used to, but there's still maybe 4 to 6 weeks going to be processing time. So we'll have RC drill results, diamond drill results. We're really looking forward to the first few diamond holes. We want to try and hold up some nice drill core and show some spodumene. And also the nickel targets will be drilled with the diamond, so nothing better than holding up a bit of massive nickel sulfide. So plenty of drilling news coming. We've still got some assays pending for rock chip samples, some soil surveys, so really strong news flow over the next few months.
So you got two arms, mate, one core with your spodumene, one arm with your nickel sulfide.
Thank you for that suggestion, I'll take that.
So put you on the spot, I guess, you know, where you try and sell your soul. Why St. George Mining to the guys out there?
Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity we've got in the lithium space. It is an underexplored area for lithium, and that's always wonderful when you've got your neighbours proving up a resource. You're in the same mineral system. We don't know exactly what's on our ground, but we know for starters that we've got fertile pegmatites, high-grade lithium at surface, and we're now drilling. So it's just, we're in the zone to create a lot of value for shareholders. The market seems to understand that. It's pushed our share price up a little bit already, but those drill results that are going to come over the next few weeks could push it up much higher still.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I think yeah, there are lithium companies, or we'll call them lithium companies with projects, but I think the ones that have those kind of more advanced drilling is going to be really the real story coming forward. That's what I think anyway. But John, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to you holding up two cores. One will be white and one will be sort of brassy colour. That work well for you?
I think that will be a great photo.
All right, mate. And before you go, look, we teamed up with Florence Drummond, who's the founder of Indigenous Women in Mining Resource Australia, and they've formed a group called KIC, I believe, and they're the suppliers of coffee beans for us. They've gone to the beans and not the powder, so you need to crush this yourself. Mm-hmm. So these are sort of a going away gift for people who participate on Coffee with Samso.
Thank you very much.
So again, thank you, and look forward to the photo opportunity.
Thank you, I appreciate the time here.